Direct fire strike by AV-8B Harrier II in the Caribbean sparks intense tensions. Tensions in the Caribbean have sharply escalated following reports that a U.S. Marine Corps AV-8B Harrier II attack jet carried out a direct live-fire strike during a high-intensity military operation in the region. The incident occurred in strategically sensitive Caribbean waters, immediately drawing international attention. According to military sources, the operation was part of a high-readiness combat exercise and security mission, conducted amid growing foreign military activity and rising maritime security threats. The AV-8B Harrier II, renowned for its short takeoff and vertical landing (V/STOL) capability, executed aggressive aerial maneuvers before unleashing precision fire on designated targets. The thunderous sound of weapons fire and high-speed air maneuvers created a tense and alarming atmosphere across the operational area. Naval assets operating nearby were placed on elevated alert, while air defense and maritime radar systems were fully activated to monitor any potential escalation. The Pentagon stated that the operation was intended to demonstrate U.S. military strength and commitment to maintaining regional stability, while also delivering a clear warning to any actors deemed capable of disrupting security in the Caribbean. However, defense analysts have described the live-fire action as a strong strategic signal that could further intensify geopolitical friction in the region. No casualties have been reported so far, but the presence of a frontline strike aircraft like the AV-8B Harrier II in such a volatile zone underscores that the Caribbean is currently under heightened military alert. The international community is now closely watching developments, hoping the situation does not spiral into a wider confrontation. Military analysts noted that the deployment of the AV-8B Harrier II was no coincidence, as the aircraft is specifically designed for rapid response strike missions from amphibious assault ships operating close to contested zones. Sources indicate that the jet may have operated from a U.S. Navy amphibious assault vessel, allowing forces to project power deep into the Caribbean without relying on land-based airfields. Satellite tracking data and regional defense monitoring groups reported a noticeable increase in aerial and naval activity in the hours leading up to the live-fire event. Multiple warships were observed repositioning, while surveillance aircraft conducted extended patrols over key maritime corridors, signs often associated with preparations for potential escalation. Local maritime authorities issued temporary navigation advisories, urging civilian vessels to avoid certain sectors of the Caribbean Sea during the operation. Although officially labeled as a controlled military exercise, the scale and intensity of the maneuver suggested a real-world combat readiness scenario, blurring the line between training and operational deterrence. Geopolitical observers warn that such a show of force could trigger countermeasures from rival powers with interests in the region, raising concerns about miscalculation or unintended confrontation. The Caribbean, long considered a vital strategic gateway, is increasingly emerging as a frontline theater for power projection and strategic signaling. Despite assurances from U.S. officials that the situation remains under control, the combination of live-fire strikes, heightened naval posture, and persistent aerial surveillance has fueled speculation that further military actions could follow. As tensions simmer, the world watches closely, aware that even a single misstep in the Caribbean could have far-reaching global consequences. Eyewitness accounts from commercial vessels operating at a distance described low-flying attack jets, sudden afterburner ignitions, and rapid strike runs that underscored the seriousness of the operation. The presence of combat aircraft at such proximity to key shipping lanes sent a chilling message to any actors testing regional security boundaries. Meanwhile, regional governments have responded with heightened caution. Several Caribbean nations have quietly increased coastal surveillance and port security, while diplomatic channels are reportedly active behind closed doors to prevent misunderstandings. Analysts stress that the Caribbean's geographic position, linking the Atlantic Ocean, the Gulf of Mexico, and critical trade routes, makes any military escalation strategically sensitive and globally consequential. Military strategists emphasize that the AV-8B Harrier II's role goes beyond firepower. Its ability to operate from forward-deployed amphibious platforms allows the United States to maintain a constant strike presence, reducing reaction time in crisis scenarios. This capability, analysts say, is central to modern deterrence strategy and reflects a shift toward rapid, flexible power projection. As night fell over the Caribbean, Radar activity and air patrols reportedly continued, suggesting that the operation was part of a broader, sustained security posture rather than a single isolated event. With tensions still high and forces remaining on alert, uncertainty hangs over the region. The unfolding situation highlights a stark reality. The Caribbean is no longer a quiet backdrop to global affairs, but an arena where military readiness, strategic signaling, and geopolitical rivalry increasingly converge. The coming days may prove critical in determining whether this show of force stabilizes the region or pushes it closer to a dangerous tipping point. As tensions continue to build, military intelligence sources indicate that the Caribbean operation may serve as a strategic rehearsal for rapid response scenarios involving sudden maritime or aerial threats. The choice to employ live-fire assets, rather than simulated engagements, underscores the seriousness of the message being delivered. The region is under constant surveillance, and any hostile action would be met with immediate and overwhelming force. Behind the scenes, coordination between U.S. naval task groups, marine aviation units, and allied intelligence networks is believed to be operating at an elevated operational tempo. Secure communications, electronic warfare monitoring, and persistent ISR, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, flights suggest preparations not only for deterrence, but for potential contingency operations should the security environment deteriorate. Experts warn that while such demonstrations of strength are intended to stabilize the situation, they also carry inherent risks. Misinterpretation, technical error, or unintended encounters in crowded international waters could rapidly escalate into a broader confrontation. For this reason, diplomatic channels remain active as military planners walk a fine line between deterrence and provocation. Closing statement. In the end, the direct live-fire strike by the AV-8B Harrier II marks a clear turning point in the Caribbean security landscape. What was once viewed as a peripheral theater is now emerging as a critical flashpoint in global military dynamics. With warships on high alert, attack aircraft maintaining persistent patrols, and regional actors watching every move, the message is unmistakable. The Caribbean is on edge. Whether this show of force succeeds in preserving stability or ignites a new wave of tension will depend on the decisions made in the critical days ahead. For now, the world watches closely as the skies and seas of the Caribbean remain under intense military scrutiny, a stark reminder that in today's volatile geopolitical climate, no strategic region can be taken for granted.